I call upon the Honorable the Minister in the Presidency, Honorable Radebe.
Madam Speaker, His Excellency the President of the Republic, the Deputy President, honorable members. I must declare upfront that the mayhem that transpired in this House last Thursday is highly regrettable. Parliament is an institution established with the core values of accountability, teamwork, professionalism, integrity, and as members, we must always uphold those noble values. A young boy who had the glorious opportunity of ushering in our head of state with a poetic rendition was drowned out by heckling and jeering adults who are supposed to be leaders of South African society. The President of the Republic, His Excellency President Zuma, had to wait for more than 1 hour to articulate his plans for our country because there were constant interruptions followed by jeering, heckling, and even profanities spewed inside this esteemed house with reckless abandon. We must find our moral compass and remember that we are all here because we are mandated by the voting public. We are accountable to the people of South Africa who have entrusted us with the responsibility of leading them in our democratic journey towards a better society. The members of this House must pride themselves in their excellent service to the people of this country. Madam Speaker, the time has come for all of us to restore the dignity and the decorum of this prestigious House. Our Parliament must return to its former glory as a dignified space for honorable members to have candid debates in the interest of creating a better life for all South Africans. As a nation, we are deeply saddened by the senseless deaths of 94 patients at Esidimeni Mental Hospital. Our President expressed our collective grief and indicated that the recommendations of the Health Ombudsman will be speedily implemented without any reservations. We empathize with all those who lost their loved ones in the midst of this tragedy. However, it is disingenuous and even inhumane for political parties to use the death of human beings as a rallying cry for political expedience. For the benefit of those who left before the proceedings were concluded on Thursday, President Zuma's State of the Nation address is underpinned by our National Development Plan as a bedrock for building a better and a more prosperous South Africa by 2030. The NDP is an overarching plan that is aimed at ensuring that all South Africans attain a decent standard of living through the creation of decent employment, elimination of poverty, and the reduction of gross inequalities. Parliamentarians must put the needs of the people first and not advance their personal aspirations at the expense of the public. They must be compatriots who want to efficiently deliver the much-needed services to the South African nation. The National Development Plan is very emphatic on accountable leadership. South Africa needs leadership that is devoted, that is dedicated, capable and committed, and not self-serving. Let us put South Africa first. Let us put our people first. It is clear that freedom is not always synonymous with equality, and this disjuncture is quite prevalent in South African society. The gross inequalities in our socio-economic conditions stifle growth in various sectors of our society. According to Statistics South Africa, white households earn at least 5 times more than black households. This is an unacceptable disparity, especially 23 years after the dawn of freedom and democracy. In the world of business, most black people are still economically deprived and dissatisfied with the economic gains of our freedom and democracy. Despite more than 600 billion rand of BEE transactions from 1995 to 2015 amongst the top 40 JSE shares, this has not benefited many black people. Only 10% of the top 100 companies on the JSE are owned by black South Africans directly, achieved principally through the introduction of generic codes and various sectoral BEE dispensations. Of the above, about 60% is in the hands of strategic BEE partners, 20 to 25% in the hands of community schemes, and 50 to 20% in the hands of employee schemes. It was in view of the slow pace of transformation and lack of inclusivity in the economy that the President introduced the radical socio-economic transformation. The emphasis here is on a fundamental change in the structure, systems, institutions, and patterns of ownership, management, and control of the economy in favor of all South Africans, especially the disenfranchised black people. We must assure you, honorable members, that radical socio-economic transformation is not just a political rhetoric. It is a more rigorous step in our continuous journey towards building a better and more prosperous South Africa. The radical socio-economic transformation builds on previous interventions that were aimed at transforming our economy. All these interventions are in line with the assertion of the Freedom Charter adopted by the collective mass of our people under the auspices of the Congress of the People in Kliptown in 1955. The Freedom Charter states, the mineral wealth beneath the soil, the banks and monopoly industry shall be transferred to the ownership of the people as a whole. We are now building on those prescripts of the Freedom Charter by implementing the radical socio-economic transformation as an interventionist strategy to expedite transformation in South African society. Our country is a mixed economic system comprising the state, the private sector, and social capital. More than 75% of the economy is in the hands of the private sector. This places the private sector as a strategic partner in our efforts to find solutions to the economic challenges that confront us as a South African nation. We continue to work in close collaboration with the private sector through many initiatives such as the CEO initiative and other relevant structures as alluded to by the President. We also, honorable members, have a historic backlog of a skewed economic system characterized by exploitation and imbalanced distribution of wealth along racial lines. We are now well into the third decade of democratic dispensation in our country, and we cannot continue to lament the legacy of our divided past. The radical socio-economic transformation is a vehicle through which we can accelerate the process of transferring economic power to the black majority. As the ANC were unapologetic about our stance of prioritizing the black majority in our transformative programs. We must accelerate the radical socio-economic transformation to ensure beneficiation of the majority of black people who suffered centuries of colonial domination, decades of oppressive apartheid rule, and a lifetime of economic deprivation. This radical shift in our agenda requires that we follow the guidance of the NDP Vision 2030 in exploiting optimally all the strategic levers that are available at our disposal. We are a responsive government that puts the needs of the people at the apex of its agenda. Access to housing and basic services has improved through the construction of 4 million new houses since 1994, increasing connections to electricity to 95% of households, and piped water 85% of households. In our education sector, we are unequivocal in our commitment to providing financial assistance to the financially needy and the missing middle students. Our government has also provided funds to ensure that no student whose combined family income is up to 600,000 rand per annum will face fee increases at universities and TVET colleges in this financial year. Madam Speaker, our President spoke at length about igniting economic growth to the extent of elucidating on the 9-point plan, which details tangible measures that our government will embark upon to ensure that we create jobs. He listed industrialization, mining and beneficiation, agriculture and agro-processing, energy, SMMEs, managing work conflict, attracting investments, growing the oceans economy and tourism as some of our focal areas as a government. At the core of the radical socio-economic transformation program is the creation of jobs and accelerating shared and inclusive economic growth. Our state will play a major role in the economy to drive this transformation agenda. Our government will utilize the strategic levers that are available. This includes legislation, regulations, licensing, budget procurement, as well as BE charters to drive that program. Honorable members, we have put systems in place to ensure that the policies and our strategies that we introduce are adhered to and implemented as a matter of extreme urgency. We have strengthened our monitoring and evaluation mechanisms to ensure that these interventions must yield positive results and are evidence-based. As the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation will continue to monitor and evaluate progress on the implementation of all policies, plans, and programs towards the NDP Vision 2030 goals of addressing poverty, unemployment, inequality, and outline remedial interventions where needed. Our responsibilities will include monitoring and impacting on the returns on investments in our government programs such as education, health, infrastructure, including the impact of the role of state-owned enterprises and development finance institutions in eradicating poverty, reducing inequality, and promoting employment opportunity. We will accelerate the rollout of our monitoring programs, such as the Presidential Hotline and Frontline Delivery monitoring visits. Practical examples of simple but yet profound interventions will be the progress we have made in areas such as the payment of suppliers within 30 days of receipt of a valid invoice, as well as social reforms in mining towns and labor sending areas. Honorable members, we shall continue to improve these mechanisms in evaluating mining land redistribution, development of SMMEs, and other forms of licensing to support transformation in order to enhance broad-based ownership, local procurement, and empowering black businesses. We are increasing our capacity to implementing all these socio-economic initiatives to effect change in the living conditions of ordinary South Africans. We are very robust in continuing with these programs as a government. We shall accelerate our efforts, particularly in the economic sector, to enhance faster and inclusive growth. We'll periodically monitor progress that are ensuring that these interventions yield demonstrable results in changing the living conditions of the majority of the people of our country. Honorable members, the Operation Phakisa, which is a big, fast, result-oriented program, will take a collective approach to this radical socio-economic development. And through this program, that is specific interventions in the oceans economy, health, education, mining, and agricultural sectors. These interventions were designed as a collaborative effort with business, labor and community and other civil society groups to fast-track the implementation of programs in order to improve delivery, creating jobs and increasing investment. All these interventions are guided by the NDP Vision 2030 in pursuit of the demands of the Freedom Charter, which also states that the people shall share in the country's wealth. The people must share indeed. These interventions are articulated here as part of the radical socio-economic transformation agenda. In a nutshell, Madam Speaker, the President's State of the Nation address, with its strong focus on socio-economic transformation, trust was timely, was appropriate and poignant. The plans that he articulated will add meaningful value and bring about positive change in the lives of ordinary South Africans. It is precisely for these reasons that the African National Congress, the governing party, lends its overwhelming support to the State of the Nation address by the President. I thank you.